Is called Farther Down the Rabbit Hole. Today we're going to have a very important show, and that is that we're going to finally establish what's going on with the Photoshop situation about Edna Sintron, or a lady that's waving from the hole in the World Trade Center. So I'm going to make 2 phone calls to establish this, and we're going to be using this picture off the stream that I did a week ago. So hang in there. The objective of this show today is to scrutinize this image that you're seeing on the screen, which is called an avatar. And behind him he has a grid, which is very familiar to people who use Photoshop. And I have Alan Steinfeld on the line with the WebFairy. And we're going to use Alan's skill as a person who's familiar with Photoshop to sort of to give an opinion about what this is. So do you, Rosalie, want to set up Alan to explain what we're using his expertise
I don't know what we're looking at here.
Okay, let Rosalie explain.
This may not be a fair test in the overall. We need the actual image, not just this picture that was broadcast. But my complaint on this...
Can we get that image and postpone this for another day then? Because I really want to do it right.
No, but let her just say what she has to say about
this.
Yeah,
I really hate being interrupted.
No, go ahead, say it. Yeah.
What we're shown here, this is a very poor rendition that we really can't do anything definitive with. However, Truthsleuth is claiming that the checkerboard grid, which is made by a transparent layer, is what we are seeing when a picture is blown up real big and there's kind of a square pattern. This square pattern is called quantization. It is part of the way that compression works.
Where does he think we're seeing that in this picture? I don't see any of that here.
In this picture, it's supposed to be around this avatar guy.
What does that have to do with the plane going into the World Trade Center? It doesn't make any sense.
This is a different argument than that. I mean,
what argument are we talking about?
Well, he thinks that all of the jumpers are fake.
The people jumping out of the window are fake?
Yeah, that's what Truthsleuth is trying to say.
You know, there's so many crazy people in this movement, it's not even worth giving my time to discuss these things, you know. You could hear those bodies crashing on the roof. If you look at some of the other footage of people inside the building, I mean, what's the point of even saying that the bodies were fake?
Because people are believing him.
But people will believe a lot of things. I don't want to waste my time talking to insane people because someone believes them. If you say anything, you know, people will believe you.
Yeah, we're certainly noticing that.
But I'd rather talk about the images which you claim the plane didn't hit the building, right?
Oh, yeah, we can salvage this.
Well, because what I have not, and no one's ever come forward and say, well, the plane didn't hit the building and it was Photoshop or, you know, After Effects fakery. Just have someone duplicate that same thing with a plane, I don't know, hitting the Empire State Building or something, and just see if they could duplicate it. Meanwhile, no one has done that, and that's a big problem in the movement here.
No, it can't be duplicated.
Why not? If it's Photoshop, why not?
Oh, if you're saying that the whole plane thing is Photoshop?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying other people are saying that. If it is, have somebody duplicate it.
Fine. I'm not saying that.
Oh, okay. You're not.
I'm
you're
not saying that at all.
Are you saying there were
I'm on the opposite side.
You're saying there were planes?
No.
Oh, you're saying there was what?
I'm saying that no plane could make a plane-shaped hole.
So what do you think made that image that people are seeing? What is that, a Photoshop image?
It depends on which image are we talking about. Are we
plane
talking about the whole plane-shaped hole?
The whole plane going into the building and then making the hole.
No planes went into any building.
Well, I think they did, but you have to prove that it didn't. What made that hole then?
Beam weapons.
Okay, then,
Tesla weapon.
okay,
Some form that requires no heat and no random blowing up.
so the image that we saw of a plane hitting the building was what, Photoshopped?
They're added in. They're cartoons. They are specifically FCS desktop view.
So,
It's a mixture of SimCity edition and controlled real life quote.
okay, so if that is true, then have someone duplicate that on another building in the same way that we saw it here with the World Trade Center. That should be simple enough, right?
No, they've got multi-million-dollar equipment. And what have we got? Our own little Photoshop.
So you're saying it's multi-million-dollar equipment that created the plane fakery?
Probably.
And it can't be probably. It either is or it isn't. Either there were planes or it's fakery of
There were
planes.
no planes.
Why do you say
They
that?
faked
Were you there? Were you in Manhattan? Did you talk to the people who saw the planes?
People who claim they saw the planes.
Well, why
I
do you
talked
say there
to.
were no planes and it was multi-million-dollar, video fakery?
Some of it was really cheap video fakery.
Yeah, but why do you say that? Where do you base your claim on?
Because there are planes that don't have any wings,
Where do you
or
see
any
planes?
fuselage, or
Where do you see
disappear completely.
No. Where do you see the planes without wings? Let's go.
There's amateur footage without wings, and
Let's
there's
go
the
over
first
that
hit
footage
without
and look
wings.
Let's look at that footage frame by frame and see what we're actually
Well,
seeing.
you've got something up there now.
Well, instead of
That's
making
the
the
ghost
plane,
plane. Look at it.
it looks like a plane to me. What does it look like?
It looks like a plane. Oh, good. I am glad that when they make a picture of a plane, it really looks like a
This
plane.
looks like a plane going
sometimes.
into a building. What does it look like to you?
It looks to me like a cartoon of a plane going into a cartoon of a building.
Oh, so you're saying that's not the Real Trade Center?
Do you see-
The World Trade Center has to put up with various laws of nature,
Like what?
like all three of Newton's laws.
Like what?
Well, the third is the one I'm the best familiar with as far as just talking off the top of my head.
Uh-huh.
The third law of motion says that the plane hit the building with exactly the same force that the building hit the plane.
Okay. And what is that? What's the effect of that? What do we see then?
If they hit each other with the same amount of force at the same time, we would have boom,
Boom what?
right then and there, an explosion.
Well, I'm seeing
Instead,
an
the
explosion.
explosion happens on the opposite side of the building.
I'm seeing an explosion.
Yeah, but you're seeing an explosion that happens somewhere else instead of at the point of
Okay, watch
impact.
now.
Look, the
Watch,
World
Alan.
Trade Center was all
Alan, watch.
in front there.
Alan,
Yes?
watch what she's
I'm
saying
watching.
about the explosion. Let's go carefully.
Okay, we're seeing that
Okay.
plane hit the building, and we see the nose go right in. We see a little bit of an explosion right there.
Where's the explosion?
And the plane is going at 500 miles or 400 miles an hour.
We've already proven planes can't fly that high.
High?
No,
Fly that
no.
fast at-
Hang on, you guys. Let's stay to one thing at a time.
Say that.
Alan.
Well, anyway, maybe...
Don't WebFairy. Let's stay one thing at a time. One thing right now. The
Okay.
explosion. Okay.
The plane hit a
I'm
building. You're saying
Alan.
the plane hit.
You guys, you got to calm down. We're
I'm
gonna.
just looking at the
I-
footage here.
Okay.
I'm calm.
Now I'm going to read. Where is the damage between the fuselage and engine?
Fuselage is what part of the plane?
The front
That's the
part.
body part.
So the damage is that plane is going so fast in its own momentum, it's piling right into the building. That doesn't make sense to you?
No.
Now
In
let's-
the first place,
next frame.
One wing is missing. All we
wing
have
is
is the
missing.
shadow of the wing.
Well, it looks like that wing was already hitting the windows of the building there.
Well, if they hit the windows, these wings are supposed to be full of fuel.
Uh-huh.
Even hitting a window of just one spark would be enough to start big fires.
Not immediately.
And instead, there's no big fire.
Well, why do you think that big fire happens about 2 seconds later? As
On the
plane-
opposite side of the
That's
building.
right, because the plane was going so fast.
There was no plane. It's just
But
over the top.
Okay, there was no plane, but I see a plane going very fast, and I don't know what the speed was, into a building, and it doesn't happen immediately. Even when you light a match, it takes a second for the thing to spark. You know, we're talking about metal encased fuel. It's not going to spark immediately on
It's going
contact.
to immediately,
I don't think so.
as in immediately, make some response other than melting like it's a spoon into mashed potatoes.
Why? Have you ever been in the World Trade Center? Were you ever in there?
No, I don't.
Can we, Alan, this is frame by frame.
It wouldn't matter.
Aluminum.
Alan, I'm going frame by frame, so let's stick to this, okay?
Okay.
Okay, next frame.
I'm seeing a plane hit a building. I don't know what you're seeing.
Now what do you see?
Now I see the body of the plane piling into the building at a very fast speed.
Now, do you see that little blue arrow?
I see the blue arrow, but I don't think
Now-
that was originally
Now,
there.
what happened to the hole? Shouldn't that create a hole? It looks like the building healed itself up.
I don't think so.
It looks like the airplanes.
Because it's actually not really clear footage. I see the body going through the same hole that the nose created.
Yeah, but what about between the body and the plane there, where exactly where that blue arrow is?
Yeah, it's not really clear. I mean,
Oh,
But shouldn't there be a mess there?
why should there be
Shouldn't there be a mess? Shouldn't there be a hole or some cracks or
What do you
some?
think the body of the plane is going into the
Yeah,
hole?
if
That's
it went
really
into the
created.
hole, how did it get there? It's
Because
like
there are several laws of nature that say that can't happen
Like
that
what?
way.
no. Let's not put anybody.
No matter what you see with your eyes or what you imagine with your imagination.
No, WebFairy.
Tell me what I'm
Rosalie, what we need right now is a lot of love and support for each other, because we're creating a document that's going to be put up on YouTube. And I want to respect everybody, and I can see that Alan is not seeing.
going to be convinced. You see that I see what, Paula?
Well, what I'm seeing is that it looks like the wall of the building has come back again, and there's no hole and there's no crash wreckage.
I am not seeing that, first of all, because the image is not that clear.
No, it's as clear as it's always
It's not
been.
that clear because it's not a plane.
Well, no, it has nothing to do with the plane. It has to be.
Well,
the
it has
image
a lot to do
itself
with
is
there's
not-
a shadow there with nothing to make the shadow.
shadow. I
In
don't
real
see a
life,
shadow.
it began as an animation that was blue screened, and everything that was the color of the background just got removed, and that includes that one wing. That,
So it was all
reflecting
perfectly
the same
timed to
color.
make an explosion when the actual explosion happened, when everyone saw it on the ground, you're saying.
The ghost plane was not alive, quote, quote,
Yeah, but
footage.
there was an explosion that happened in those buildings.
Oh,
Well-
yeah, there were explosions that happened in those buildings. Yes.
And it wasn't from the plane, you're saying.
And it wasn't from the plane. It wasn't from any plane.
Was it?
Two of the planes weren't even flying that day.
Well,
Flight
I don't know about that. I'd
175
like to see
flew, but it
documents.
didn't land there.
I would like to see documents of the plane not flying, like, you know,
We're looking at it.
somewhere officially.
But what are we looking at right now?
I'm looking at a plane hitting a building. I don't know what you're
Yeah.
looking at. I mean, you're looking at a cartoon, right?
It's a
Yeah,
document.
we're looking at a cartoon,
So
a
you're
flight
saying-
simulator representation of a plane.
So you're saying when people were watching this on television, the television quickly cut to a videotape insert of a cartoon in order to convince people
Yeah, it
that
wasn't
something-
even quickly. It was later that afternoon.
Oh, it wasn't
There
at
are
the time?
none of us who had any reason to believe that they'd be pulling off fakes, and we weren't looking for that sort of thing, and we couldn't have imagined it.
No, but this was shot live when the plane
No.
was happening on broadcast.
No, it wasn't
Some
shot.
stations were broadcasting live the second plane.
No,
They weren't?
this is not live.
I would think that
The vocal track is apparently live, and they're not mentioning any plane either.
there was no
They're
live.
talking about explosions and people running down the street.
So you're saying
in
there
the
was
live-
no live broadcast of the plane hitting a building? Is that what you're
No,
saying?
there's no live broadcast of any planes hitting any buildings. There's a broadcast of cartoons hippity-hopping past the building, or,
Why
where
would
it
they make a plane
disappears.
past the building? What would be the point of a cartoon of that nature?
Well, because it's easiest to animate.
But why would it go past the building? Why wouldn't they just... So you're saying at the time the buildings, whatever happened to them, there was no live coverage of that at all?
There was no live coverage that showed any plane. There's
Well,
a
I don't
live
know.
coverage from a helicopter that shows some little pooky thing, but nothing that's plane.
Well, I don't know. I was in Hawaii myself the day of 9/11, so I wasn't watching television until many hours later. I think there were people watching live who saw it happen on television, and I'm willing to put that out there for anyone who may be watching or listening to get back to me with that.
Or get back to me on that. But Alan and Rosalie, can we agree? I think Rosalie said something very quickly that I want to emphasize. She said we were not expecting later on that day that we would see anything other than what we saw live. Is that correct, Rosalie?
Yeah, that's pretty close.
We weren't expecting to see this. So now, Alan, I know you do.
See what?
Well, we weren't expecting that they were cartooning at us.
No, but not that. We weren't expecting them to broadcast a plane hitting the building. Is that what you're saying?
No, we were expecting that.
We were
expecting
why
that
were
there
we
would be lots
expecting
of
that?
pictures.
If we didn't see it originally, why would we be expecting that later in the day?
Because we were told.
Yeah.
We were told that.
Oh, okay. So then, because we were told that, then they went through the whole thing of having to fake
Well,
it
they made
later.
lots of fake cartoons, and they're all fake.
Well,
Okay.
How do you know that they're fake cartoons? What is there anything in the footage you're saying because the plane
Well,
disappeared?
some of them look like hairy birds.
They do. I'd like to see
Some
that.
of them are missing wings,
I
like
would like
that
to see
ghost plane that its shadow is there, but the actual wing isn't.
I would like to see all that you're seeing, and
Okay.
then I might be convinced. But right
Oh.
now, I have not seen anything that
Yeah, I
convinced
know
me of
it's
your
a
argument.
kind of a new thing to you.
No, it's not a new thing. I've known Paula for the past, longer than she's been into 9/11, and it's not new. I keep looking for evidence that will convince me, and I have not seen anything. The plane doesn't heal up in the building. You know how fast that plane was going? If there was a plane, how fast do you think the plane was going?
Well, since the top speed of a plane at that height is something like 250 miles an hour, or else it would have vibrated itself apart, I'd say that it was going no faster.
Where did you get that information?
This is from a former Boeing engineer who created the shaker system, which would tell them if they've designed it right so that it wouldn't start vibrating itself apart.
So you're saying at basic sea level, a plane cannot go faster than 250 miles an hour?
Basically, yeah, maybe
So
300.
let's say that plane was
but it's
going
not
250 miles an hour, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It hit a building with that force and speed.
Right.
Then
And it would
plow.
go boom, and it would fall down.
Why would it fall down?
Gravity would take over.
No.
Gravity is one of those real-life things that we have to deal with.
Why would it fall
Stuff
down?
don't float. Stuff don't go sideways.
What are you talking about? Those
I'm
winds?
saying that at the second of impact, there would be a blowback effect.
Why would there be? Those
And it
buildings
would
were
push it
cheap. They were
down.
aluminum and glass. It would not.
Aluminum and glass
That's right.
is still affected by all the laws of nature.
Did you ever throw a ball through a window? The ball lands inside the window, and everything is brought. The glass doesn't go out the window.
The glass
comes
didn't
into
heal
the window.
itself.
What?
The glass didn't heal
I
itself.
don't
The ball didn't just
I don't see
poof
glass
in
healing
and then.
itself.
Can I just
I
pause?
don't see a clear
Alan?
picture.
Alan, can I just pause for a moment here? What I wanted to appeal to was this whole idea of perception and what Rosalie said before, that we were expecting to see airplanes because we were told that airplanes were there. Now, what we have invested here is a whole paradigm, a whole world view. Our whole world view is being threatened. That's what's going on.
Your worldview being threatened, Paula, your conspiracy worldview, the fact that this may actually be planes hitting a building, I think that worldview is just as threatened for you and Rosalie as it is for the other people.
Well, let's put
Look at that.
let's put it this way, Alan.
Have an investment in conspiracy.
What I'm saying is that when I look at the picture, I see something, and I'm trying to connect with you because you don't see what I see.
Well, I'm
Now,
saying the building heals up. I'm
okay.
saying I first of all
I'm
don't see
saying
a
laws
clear
of nature are not flexible.
Well, I don't know which.
No,
laws of
but you
nature.
see,
A
we
firm
have.
impact of a ball going through
But
a window at 250 miles an hour. It's going to suck that glass right into the inside of the building. Have you try it? Go out there and throw a ball through a
Throw
window.
a ball 250 miles an hour. Wink, wink. Yeah, sure.
But Rosalie, what I'm trying to say, I'm trying to get into skills of communication and connection. We don't have to talk about the World Trade Center. Let's talk about worldviews over in the Islamic nations right now who are struggling with realities in their life of bombs showering down upon them daily, right? The economy is falling apart. We have refugees that are streaming all over the world. The suffering is tremendous. So
Okay.
some people are questioning, is this the world which we as human beings say is the correct world? Is this world working, or are we going to question this reality and whether we can go into it and work together in a different way? I want to work together right now between the three of us to at least have sympathy for each other's positions. Because what you're saying is that my world and Rosalie's world will fall apart if we don't have the meaning of conspiracy to give our life meaning. You know, I have no children, I have no husband. A lot of people can say this is a person who doesn't have a life, and that's why
I
she's
don't
doing
think that's
this.
true.
No, but this is what I've been told, you
Well,
know.
it doesn't matter
And
what
so,
you're told, but what do you think? I think you have a big life there. You have a public.
well, no, but what I'm saying is that when you make a comment to me that my world will fall apart if I find out that indeed this airplane really did fly through the building and disappear, and the wall healed up, you know, what will happen?
Saying the wall healed up.
I don't
Saying you
see.
can't
I don't.
tell on a video what really
Even if this airplane went through that wall of very thin aluminum, of very thin windows,
wasn't
still.
so thin windows, but they were windows.
Still, it would have to be, you'd have to have a cracked window, you'd have to have some evidence of a hole.
Well,
Some line would have.
After that plane goes through and explodes
No,
on the
this-
other side, you have a huge
No,
hole
listen,
there.
Alan, this is the frame. You were the one that wanted to go frame by frame.
I'm going frame by frame. Okay, the plane hits the building. It's going into the building. It's plowing into the building, yes.
And what I'm saying is I don't see any explosion here. I don't see any wreckage here. I don't see even a hole of it being
the
on.
wings are still intact.
No, but see, here's the problem, Rosalie and Alan. Here's the thing. Why is Alan not seeing it, and why are we seeing it? And can we still move together as three human beings who clearly all want to make a better world? We're all very invested in all of the good-hearted philosophies. None of us say that we want to sell weapons and that we believe the solution is eliminate the Muslims and have America dominate that way. We have this idea of a constitution of freedom for all and democracy.
What do they ignore?
Wait,
What's
sorry. What did you say, Paula?
What I'm saying is, can we work together, the three of us, and not put each other down for either seeing things or not seeing things? That's what I'm saying.
Okay, sure. I mean, basically, though, it comes down to you're trying to convince me and I'm trying to convince you because we're seeing the world differently, which happens all the time in worldviews.
But what I'm saying is that you have the side of the entire people who are buying into the media and this world. They're saying
I'm
that's.
not buying into me. I'm just buying into what I believe and what I perceive.
He thinks that his beliefs can outrank natural laws.
I'm not talking
Either
about
that or
beliefs,
he doesn't believe
Rosalie.
in natural
Rosalie,
law.
I'm not talking about beliefs. I'm talking about what I see, and I happen to have been in that building and know what those buildings were made of. I looked out those windows.
Mashed potatoes?
No, I didn't say that. I said
No,
they were
but
made of
this
aluminum
is plowing.
and glass.
This is just like a little plastic plane plowing into a bowl of mashed potatoes.
What are you talking about?
The way it vanishes.
Yes, but don't you see, Rosalie, what we have here is Alan is not seeing it, and the more he's not seeing
I
it,
see
and the
what
more.
you're saying. I see a plane that's going very fast, and I can't explain those physics, but try throwing a huge plane going at that mile through a glass building and see what you come up with.
Okay, let's continue on. Maybe that will help, okay? so now it is going through more. Do we see any crumpling, twisting, or breaking of plane parts?
Why would you?
Because that's we can look at all other plane crashes I've seen, and you see wreckage.
You've seen a plane hit an aluminum glass building.
It doesn't disappear. It's a building.
Have you seen a plane hit an aluminum and glass
Yes,
building? That's what the facade of the World Trade Center was made of.
Maybe some
Right, aluminum and glass, physical objects. When one physical object hits another physical object, there is a reaction.
Okay, but
No
Rosalie,
reaction here.
but Rosalie, we're dealing with.
Momentum. Do you know that law of physics, momentum and inertia? Do you know that?
Those are more laws that say that planes can't vanish into buildings.
It's not vanishing, it's plowing into a building.
Well, semantics aside, it's disappearing. There is no flame. There's no fireball.
There will be a
At
flame
this
in
frame,
1 second. As soon as that flame goes in and ignites. If you throw a can of lighter fluid into a building, it
go to
doesn't
the next
immediately
frame,
explode.
Paula.
Okay.
Do the wingtips and tail section even move during this sequence? It doesn't even move.
Go ahead. Okay, now
Do
I
we
see
ob-
little explosions
Do we observe?
found where that plane is. Do you see that, Rosalie?
Nothing's fire.
Do you see little explosions of things crashing
No,
around
I
where that plane is?
It looks to me, Alan, like it's disappearing.
You see what?
It looks to me
Dust
like it's
pimples.
disappearing.
I don't see dust pimples. I see little explosions, probably a window or so high, floor too high. That's what I see. You're not seeing that? On the upper right side of that wing, the tipped up wing, I see a little explosion there.
There are no wings. The thing is vanished.
I see
There's nothing but a
Can I just pause?
size shadow.
Can I pause at this?
explosion that I see by that.
Can I pause, you guys? At this point, don't you think that a lot of what we see is what we want to see? And what I want is just pause again. My position as a conspiracy buff is: what is my advantage to seeing it in this way, Alan? What is my advantage to be all against what the mainstream is seeing?
Well,
What
your
benefit?
advantage is that you're a public access producer that's putting out an alternative view. And so you have your reputation and a whole
What reputation?
apology.
What reputation?
You're an alternative
Alan.
Newscaster.
Alan,
which is fine.
Alan, listen.
That-
Alan, you act like it's like I'm looking for something to stir up trouble, that I enjoy controversy. Do you know how I'm ridiculed?
that the planes are
Alan,
cartoon now?
Alan, let me finish. What I'm trying to establish is there's nothing in this for me or anybody else that's seeing this except a lot of tears and a lot of heartache, a lot of frustration, a lot of ridicule. You should go on my YouTube site and see the nasty things people are saying.
Why are they
I
saying
do
those
not
things?
delete those comments, Alan.
Why are
If-
they saying those things?
Because they feel
Because we're offering an alternative better than being pressed for oil and Soylent Green.
Well, I'm agreeing with you there. I just don't think this is an argument that holds water. There's other
If
arguments
there
that
comes
do.
a time that laws of nature no longer apply, and one's imagination and how they imaginate whatever they feel like imaginating is what counts, then we deserve to be nothing but oil and Soylent Green.
Yeah.
You talk about laws of nature, though, right?
Yes.
Where object moving
Crash
at a-
physics, laws of nature.
An object moving
Stuff
at a
that
certain-
hits each other, even if it's flimsy, it's going to make a reaction.
it's gonna
In
make
real
a-
life, it really is.
it's gonna make-
And just making your excuses and excuses and excuses deeper and deeper into cartoony fairyland in your own brain. Like
Well,
you're
that's a little
God,
bit of an
and
attack.
what you believe is all that counts, and you are some arbiter.
I'm just telling you what I see. I don't believe what it counts. I know those buildings. You're talking about the laws of physics. I don't think you've ever studied physics. You're just repeating what you've been told as opposed to seeing something real. You know? You want to create
Real
a
stuff
fantasy.
bounces.
It bounces, but then again, I'm
Real
telling you,
stuff
throw
goes
a
boom.
ball through a glass window and see it bounce off the window.
And it would bounce.
It would bounce off the window.
Some of the glass would. There would be some reaction. It would not just vanish into the building like Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Do an experiment. Throw a ball through your front window and see the glass go inside your house. No, really. Do an experiment somewhere. The glass does not end outside. The glass comes inside. You know, that is a basic law of physics. The momentum of the object.
It's from sitting propped up in front of television watching cartoons.
What is?
This imagination that planes can just vanish and make no reaction and just go all in one piece into a building, even all the way up to their tail, and the building wouldn't even notice or care.
If a plane is traveling 250 miles an hour, how many miles per second is that? There's not much
That just means it would go boom, bigger.
Not if it was hitting something pretty empty and hollow and very cheaply built.
It's not empty and hollow. There's a building there. There's steel and there's concrete and there's people and there's floors and there's all kinds of stuff that any minute later is going to just be this big empty void spot with a plane shape.
Well, you know.
And if you look at the supposed wing marks, quote, it looks just like a laser slash.
So it was lasers that created all those explosions?
It was lasers. Well, I don't know if laser's the exact right word. It's some sonic technology that does not use heat.
So they timed it perfectly for when...
No, they were a little late.
They were a little late, but they timed it in almost where the cartoon of the plane would pretend to hit the building, and then they blast a laser right at the spot where the cartoon of the plane supposedly went through the building.
That's pretty close.
That's a lot of coordination for people.
Yeah, but it wasn't perfect coordination. Both in the Pavel footage and in the Naudet footage, they're just kind of ho-humming and hum-hoing for a little extra second there, like they're wasting some time before it happened. But there's no plane shown in the Pavel footage.
I don't know which footage that is.
They brought that one out for the 2003 anniversary, and they said it was taken by some guy named Pavel Havla.
Well, do you have that then, Paula, to show?
I'm showing it right now.
You're showing the no plane footage?
No, watch this.
Okay, I see.
No,
Watch the airplane disappear.
Oh, okay, this is the Fairbanks angle.
Okay, that looks like the same exact plane. Otherwise, they would have had to fake cartoons in many different ways. That looked like the same exact plane.
It's the same vanishment, and then this one, you can't call that the same plane.
I don't know. I don't know where the footage is at. Okay, I see the same thing. The plane disappears right into the building, and then a second later, wait. Oh, there's the same explosion.
Yeah, that had me fooled for a while, too. That's when I thought it must be a hologram, because at least I knew right off that a plane just can't vanish like Casper the Friendly Ghost. But at first I thought, well, they must have projected something. But I believed in thousands of people seeing this stuff live, so I thought that they had to have seen something.
And you're saying none of those thousands of people actually saw it live?
No.
Not one?
None.
I don't know where you based your information on. If I find a person who says, look, I saw a plane hit a building, will you then be convinced?
I'd suggest that a really good way of finding out that we're right is to, go and ask around. Now, a lot of people say they saw
Now you see, Alan, the explosion
they saw it on TV.
Another good way to convince that you're right is to duplicate that Photoshop, even if it takes millions of dollars to duplicate exactly that.
Well, we're not going to, we don't have millions of
So
dollars.
you can prove your argument. Otherwise, it does not hold water unless you can
It's
duplicate
proven
it.
a dozen different ways.
Oh, it's not
You
proved
were
to me.
one particular that you would change on 90 degrees if we did prove it.
Well, if you could prove
wouldn't
it,
matter,
if
and
you
it
could
wouldn't matter.
duplicate it,
Alan?
I believe you.
Alan, can we just look at the loop 3 times of the explosion part? Because we never really...
Okay, let's look at that.
Okay, let me bring that back.
Okay, observe the watercolors of the plane and the foreground building. Yeah, I see the exact same thing.
Now you see how the
Other
explosion...
side,
You see how the explosion goes...
corner.
Now you see
The
how,
watercolor thing, did you ever see that on videotapes, Paula?
Alan, where's the airplane right now?
It's inside the building exploding. Where do you think it is?
No, but you see how that is? Where did the explosion come from? Wouldn't it come right away?
Why would it come? It takes a while for everything to ignite on impact. Why would it happen right away?
This image is not consistent with what I'm going to see later, which is when the airplane comes in.
What do you mean?
Keep watching this. Now Google 9/11 geospace intelligence, and that shows where you get this sim city, simulated city. That's a big explosion here.
Yeah, couldn't that be the fuel? It's being ignited?
This fuel is used entirely too many times.
I don't know where it's used too
Now,
many
this
times. I just see it.
particular explosion, I think, is as fictional as the rest.
Oh, that
It-
didn't happen.
showing
either.
us all of these monster faces.
Now watch.
and stuff,
Here
and
we
there's
okay. So now here we
Oh,
are.
faces, I just
burning
see
out.
it.
Okay, now Alan, here we are looking at how it happened. Okay.
There's no steel columns at that point of impact.
There are steel columns every 30
Okay. Now where's all the smoke here? Where's all the explosion?
It's still building its momentum. Okay, keep going, keep going. When the fuselage, when the jet engine hits the building, you'll see a little point of impact right there. Go to the next frame.
Where's the explosion?
Go to the next frame. You'll see a little explosion around the
Yeah.
upper
plane
engine, right
explosions
there,
that little.
right there, and then everything starts to take off. A few seconds, it'll start to ignite. Okay, there it goes, plane. Wait, I'm just hitting the building. There, and 1 second later, big explosion. Okay, here's that plane. Now this footage is suspicious. I'll agree with you there.
Why do you say that? Why do you
The
see
guy
that?
sitting there, I don't know what this guy's problem is. I don't know what he's doing sitting there.
Well, that's interesting.
I'm just saying the guy's sitting there, and I don't know whose camera was that. Okay, now here we go. Meanwhile,
That's a
all
different,
this footage.
Alan, that's a different airplane. You'll agree to that?
No, why?
That doesn't look this. That looks the same to you as what we just saw.
What's different about it?
Yeah, I think we're establishing that he doesn't really see through his eyes.
I think
He
that's a
sees
little bit of a...
his
Rosalie,
imagination.
are you going to be polite, or are we going to attack each other? You know? Do you want to talk intelligently, or do you want to call names?
I'm not calling names. I'm making an observation.
You're not making an observation at all. You know, just tell me what
Okay.
you see, and don't tell me what I
Hang
see,
on, you
okay?
guys. Hang on, you guys. All three of us. I think there's a moment that all of us can pause and just feel the grief. Because either way, there's a lot of grief. You and I have lost a relationship over this, Alan, right?
Okay.
You know, for all of the love and all of the things that we shared. We went to India. Swami was wanting to show people the real spirituality. He said all of what is brought to the West by most Indian gurus is not what they use to achieve their stature. He also said so much of the New Age is just imagination when people think they leave their bodies and they're talking about things. If they left their body, he said, does the pulse stop? Does the breathing stop? How many people have you brought on your show or dealt with who really feel they've left their bodies? And yet,
why? So what's your point, Paula?
it's very, very rare to run across a master that's going to say, are you ready to live a life that's not generated by a television reality? That's our society. That's how we've been brought up. That's how men and women relate. They have images of each other. They don't really encounter each other. Even the religions, we have images of what each other's religion is rather than read the Quran or read the Torah or read the Vedas. You know, we have images. So somebody comes along and tells us that this religion says this about this one and the other, and there's arguments and fighting because we've never hooked the energy ourselves. And so Rosalie is a person who she is the first person who saw that there was no airplane. Now you may feel she's the first deceived person and she's caused a cult around her to then jump on board, but it's very hard to be the one lonely person that's seeing something different than what everyone else is seeing. And I think you can recognize that, right?
I recognize that.
If there's a cult, it's against me.
Yeah.
Well, there's a cult for you, too. You have to acknowledge that.
But what do? They send, Alan, they send no money. Maybe they now and then buy a DVD for $20, right? But not much, because they see it all for free on YouTube and they watch this like entertainment. You know, at least you're taking the
Our
time.
job is to be good entertainment.
Yeah, but entertainment is not what Swami wanted. He said if the big gurus are going around and making vibhuti and entertaining, you're never going to get anywhere. You're going to be a slave. He was trying to get people out of slavism. But in order to do that, you have to you have to do something. You have to go out and care for others. You have to serve others. And then the divine energy starts to flow. It's in the caring and the sharing. And so I'm saying, I'm just absolutely marveling at this discussion that we're having. And I can see that the issues are not where we think they are. What's the use for Rosalie to say you don't see physics, or for you to say, you know, you're coming up with the way you're looking at it, and I'm in the middle trying to do something that's a document that everybody can relate to. So I think I think there's just a lot of place for grief. That's all I feel.
Okay.
I'll go along with that.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe, Rosalie, we can get that Photoshop thing. I think, Alan, that will be a lot easier to establish once we have the clear image. Is that
Well,
okay?
and it would be better if Truthsleuth could
You know,
adhere to...
Well, I agree with you on against the Truthsleuth thing, that there were people jumping out of that building, for sure.
His point is that the transparency grid is what you see when you blow up a finished JPEG. All you got to do is notice the quantization is the real word for it. He just calls that a transparency grid. See, you can tell it's fake because you can see that transparency grid.
You never see a transparency grid. That's why they call it a transparency grid.
Yeah, that's my point.
Well, you know, lots of people have a lot of ideas because they think they know something, and in truth they're being misguided, and they're misguiding a lot of other people who want to believe also. So
Yeah.
That's the truth. That's the problem.
That's the
with
truth.
people.
That's the problem. People don't even want truth. They want their favorite fantasies massaged.
Yeah. People are attached to the way they see things. I'll totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, and they see it as an attack on themselves, not as their view. It's like seeing things out of a certain window is what makes you you. And that's not real, but it certainly is a good stopping point to keep people from catching on to things.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, I think we've agreed to disagree, which is okay.
On some, but I hope we have agreed that a transparency grid is transparent.
Oh, I totally agree with you on
And
that.
if this little avatar guy on his picture there has a transparency grid around him.
That's right.
Now, the way that could be achieved is by photoshopping. While you print screen for that thing, I mean, you couldn't
Right.
process it and keep that grid
Yeah,
showing.
you photograph your screen with the grid. I totally agree. That's probably how he
Yeah.
did it. So I don't get what his point is.
Well, he's trying to show that the quantization that you see on an enlarged picture or video, they all make squares. His claim is that that is a transparency grid showing,
And
and proof that they have used layered augmentation.
Oh, lots of people are deluded. I mean, I don't find for him to believe that. It's just another piece of nonsense that is smoke screening the truth, whatever the truth may be. I mean, it's just, it's just ridiculous.
Well, it makes everybody an instant expert. Anything that they want to dismiss, all they've got to do is blow it up 800%, see the squares, see, that means that it's a transparency layer and they've augmented it.
Yeah, no, I agree with
It
you.
makes a good scam. Everybody's the fake.
Yeah. No, it's weird. I agree. All right.
oh, hang on just one second here.
Okay.
Alan, this is the painful part. Either Hella was doing the same thing with Rosalie, talking about violent communication and so on, and one commenter said that Hella's condescending to Rosalie. And it's true that Hella didn't know anything about the 9/11 research. She was just judging by the tone of voice. Now, I think you can understand in this one case of the Photoshop, although nonviolent communication does not use labels, at a certain point you need to use labels to sort of establish what's happening. And you yourself use the label nonsense and so on. But in this case, either Rosalie or Truthsleuth is a liar.
Well,
And
or deluded, not a liar.
no,
Well,
no, no,
it's
no,
not
no.
even a liar.
No,
You
Alan.
know Photoshop, you know transparency levels are not seen.
Yes, yes, but I have to really push this
Delusion.
because I want to put this to rest. I don't think we're going to find another time when we're going to get a better image and so on. So what I'm saying is that
Picture of the avatar inserted had to be done intentionally. One could not accidentally have screen printed and caught that transparency grid and stuck it in there accidentally with the transparency grid showing.
I
As
totally
soon as that
agree with that.
avatar was stuck there, that transparency grid would vanish because all it does is show transparency when there's nothing there.
Exactly. So it's not that
Okay.
someone is lying, and perhaps he is lying.
no,
you
no,
know?
Alan,
I mean,
Alan, this is not a matter of delusion. Somebody had to go to great lengths to set this kind of thing up. Can you face that he is a liar?
I can face that. The guy's a liar. Okay, he's a liar. If you want to call him, I don't know him personally. I don't know why he would even bother saying there weren't people jumping out of that building. Because whatever hit it, people wanted to get out, and they were trapped. So what's the point?
The point is that at certain points you have to let go of nonviolent communication and you have to take a stand and you have to make a commitment.
Okay.
And so that was the purpose of this show.
I don't know if the guy's a liar or being deluded. That's your term. I
Okay.
don't know the person.
Okay.
Yeah,
Personally, I
that
don't
might
wanna
be
know.
too far. Yeah, a liar is still a label, and it's still backing away, and any excuse for covering up his duplicitous behavior, I suppose we would accept politely.
No, but I want to be very clear. I don't want to be polite. I want to try to help viewers get to the truth. Like Alan doesn't see the airplane going into the building in the way that we do.
I see the airplane going into the building. You don't see it going into the building. But that's another
Okay,
argument.
that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying in this case, you know, we don't have to worry about whether we're liked by people, what people are going to think, how they're going to react. Can we establish that in order to have transparency show up, somebody would have to have gone to a lot of lengths to do that?
Well, it's not actually a lot of length. It's just a minimal length. You just photograph your screen while you're in Photoshop, and then you crop it. That's not a big deal.
But could it happen accidentally?
No, it could not.
So can you not see that Rosalie would be the recipient of a lot of very bad energy because of this?
No, because of what? Because she's saying it's a Photoshop?
No, because he's saying it's a Photoshop and that it's a bad Photoshop and the transparency layers showed through.
Well, the guy is deluded. Lots of people can say a lot of crazy things.
This
and
is
you
not
have to pay
delusion.
attention to it.
Alan, this is not delusion. He said he created it. Do you understand? Can I drive this home stronger?
Do I understand what?
That somebody is doing something that's hurting someone else's reputation.
Okay.
We're trying to.
So you're saying he's doing something to hurt Rosalie's reputation?
Well, repeatedly, it's like that's his job in life.
All right. Well, that's what he's doing. So that's the truth. Obviously, he's doing that. It seems like. Okay.
What do you call that kind of a person?
What? Okay. What's your point, Paula?
My point is that sometimes we can't be nice and be liked by everybody. We have to take a stand and make a
Why pay
commitment.
attention to everyone who calls you names? I mean, what does that get you? You know?
When somebody calls me names, it's fine. If those names reveal something that I need to take a look at,
Or
then
if it doesn't, why even pay attention to them? Maybe it will reveal something. Or maybe someone just wants to get it out of their system. I don't know why people do things that they do. You know?
But if we're in the business of consciousness raising, I think we should know why, and we should. And I think
You can't know why everyone does what they do.
You don't think that's
try to make meaning out of it, but talk to the guy and say, Look, I talked to Photoshop experts. This is not what happens in Photoshop. He should investigate it.
Well, let me put it this way. Would you come
Guy on the phone.
Would you come on the line with Truthsleuth about this?
Yes, get him on the phone.
We won't have WebFairy, just you and him.
All right, get him on the phone.
I can't because I'm not using his number. He gave it to me and I honored that he didn't want it out, so it's only going to be if he calls in the future.
All right.
But if he connects with us, is that fair, Rosalie?
Oh, sure.
Okay,
because
so
this
I can't talk about this anymore because I don't...
Because it's uncomfortable.
No. Okay, we can keep talking about it, but what's the next step then, Paula? I mean, there's other things I need to do today.
Okay.
But what do you want? What else do you want
No,
to say?
all I want to establish is that this is a very painful process. That's all I
Okay.
want to say. That's it.
Okay,
And
thank you.
I think we've made some great breakthroughs.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alan, for calling up. I know this isn't easy.
It's easy. I don't know what you're projecting onto me or the rest of the public.
No, it's a painful process.
What's the painful process?
Afghanistan is painful. Iraq is painful. The refugees are painful. People being terrified of global warming for no reason, that's painful. I mean, I could go on and on about painful things, and a lot of it gravitates around this image. It's painful for you to think that somebody is saying nobody jumped, that all those thuds coming on the ground.
It's what's the truth that I believe to be true. Ultimately, there is no ultimate truth. What do I believe to be true? What do I think happened based on the knowledge and information I have? And based on my analysis and perception, it looked like people were jumping out of that building and crashing in on the roof from the footage of those people inside the building.
Well, I have a feeling that you're going to get a lot more witnesses to come forward on exactly that, because that's what I feel probably happened. I think people
were
did
jumping out of
jump.
the building too?
People jumped out of the
How do you know they
building.
weren't photoshopped or cartooned in?
Well, that's what.
Well,
That's.
why do you draw the line between that? How do you know there were even buildings there in the first place?
Are you serious?
I'm serious. Yeah. Prove to me there were...
Well, that gets into silly philosophical speculation, which I don't want to do.
No. I was
You know,
a joke.
I know it's a joke, but it's sensitive, and there is a time for humor, and that's what Nico Hop's trying to do. So I think I'm going to say goodbye because Nico, I know, wants to get on.
Yeah, you get Nico on. I'm sure he has a lot to add.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay.
So stay tuned to the stream, and I'm going to clear the lines, and we'll get Nico on. Okay? Okay, bye. So there we go. So I have to pick up my messages because it jumps onto my voicemail.
Paula, you have first new
So let's see who is there.
Received today at 12:30 p.m.
Lori, it's 12:30. Hey, Nico, cancel because I just got her answering service.
Message erased. Next message received today at 12:32 p.m.
Frustrating and a lot of other things I would like not to point out on the phone. Please give us an opportunity. We would appreciate to talk to you about the latest. There are ongoing threats here right now, situation. If no one cares, you know what? 99% of all no planners are suckers and belong to Abu Ghraib. You can record this, and I'm 100% political. I will stay here as long as possible. And if you think that it's crazy, it is not. Crazy are everyone who claims the word craziness is connected with something which is bullshit, okay? We know fucking damn what we're doing. And anyway, we still need donations, pizza pile, water, cigarettes. No one is helping us organizing this. I put up a address today. Anyway, just put it up. It's possible that the Cornetton comes and maybe the marshals are calling to them. So Daffy might leave also a message, wrapping it up a little bit more calm down than me. And you're more than welcome to sample or telephone conversation into your stream, live show, or whatever. Best greetings to all of you. Thanks.
Okay, so
Here's this message again. Message erased.
so there you are. I was trying to go and honor the time that I had with Rosalie and with Alan. I knew that Nico was waiting on the line, that he had something that he wanted to say, and you got a rough idea of it. It's not easy being somebody who is sort of going against the social stream, At the same time, I can understand why Alan would be hesitant to jump on board with people like us. It's not the social consensus. You don't have the pack that's taking care of you. And I think for everybody, they have different times in their life when they have to make a decision about that pack and about when it honors their soul or when it's something that's necessary for the survival more or less of their body. But even the body doesn't do that well without very profound knowledge. So I also know that Frank Craven had wanted to call in because he saw the show that I had on Manhattan Neighborhood Network at 11:30, and he and Nico have been kind of at odds because, again, Frank couldn't even imagine that there wouldn't be planes going into the building because Frank has been very moved by the 9/11 truth movement that sort of cultivates the attention in the direction of accepting this sort of, I guess, television reality is for lack of a better word. And since we who are making the media are also participating in creating this television reality, I think it is particularly hard for us to grasp some of these challenges that what we thought was real may not be real. And there's all kinds of different levels in the 9/11 truth movement. I know myself, I'm struggling to get my website going, to get a blog thing happening. I'm always seeing the sites being taken down by YouTube, and I'm wondering, to go to a safe place where I can take a few people if they're really sincere about anything that I may have in my repertoire of experiences. I really want to go deeply into the pedophilia issue because it's the flip side of the coin of enormous sexual potential that exists between men and women, and how we can use our bodies. So I don't want to say that, when we're honorable to our soul, we have to go along with social consensus for the sake of survival of our body. I think if we better understood what the potential is of our body, including our sexual nature, we would have a much greater chance of survival, precisely because we are honoring the depth of knowledge that the body needs. I'm not saying plane huggers are pedophiles to be mean and cruel about it, to imply that somebody who is not seeing that airplanes aren't flying into the buildings is an evil or bad person. I'm taking more seriously the label of pedophile, and that healing can indeed take place and must take place by our embracing and including everyone, not to sort of cut off and say, these are the bad people, and then you just cast them aside. That's the kind of work. Rabbit Hole Central. Hello?
Hi, this is Fred Smart.
It's who?
Fred Smart.
Oh, who are you?
I'm a friend of Rosalie Grable.
Oh, wow. Do you want to talk for a while? Because if you do, I should change the tape, and I would like to talk to any friend of Rosalie's.
Okay.
Okay, so just give me a minute. And do you have an image that you'd like me to put up on the computer while we discuss?
Oh, gosh, I have to.
Or should I do what? Have you been listening to the stream?
She just alerted me to it right now, and so I'm just getting on for the first time. I didn't know you had the show.
Oh, okay. Then let me just find some tape here and get it in. And then I'll give you a recap of what happened. I just got, did you hear Nico Halp's comments?
I just, anything that connects to the stuff that you're doing, if it supports Rosalie, I'd love to participate.
Okay, and I like the word there that you've got, persist. Okay, hang on, I'm going to change the tape.
Okay.